Man, it is so good to see you guys in person in the same room. Ça a été une longue année et demie. Mais je veux commencer aujourd'hui par reconnaître d'abord que cette semaine, on reconnaît nos anciens combattants qui ont tant sacrifié pour notre pays. And particularly today is Indigenous Veterans Day, which is where we recognize that Indigenous Canadians who served, Indigenous people who served across this country, who stepped up, didn't only do so like so many other did in difficult circumstances, but did that facing often systems and discrimination and barriers that were greater and continue to be greater than before. And that's where today we do lean in. I had an opportunity to sit down with some Indigenous veterans this morning to talk about their experiences and mostly talk about the path forward, both for Veterans Affairs and for Indigenous peoples. But it was a really important thing. We need to continue to lean in to make sure that people who serve our country get the best support and care and recognition of the extraordinary sacrifices that they and their families made. Gosh, it's good to see you guys. Vraiment. And I really want to start by welcoming back so many friends, but also welcoming so many new faces to this team. Welcome to those of you who were first elected in this election. I know all of you who are new to this room and to this caucus meeting have already had opportunities over the past number of weeks to get to know some of your colleagues. But I know that all of us are really excited about getting to know each of you as well, because this is truly an incredible team of people of all sorts of different backgrounds and parts of the country and stories and experiences who are able to come together to serve Canadians, to represent our communities from coast to coast to coast, to make sure that we are putting forward a vision for this country as ambitious as Canadians are themselves. I think that's one of the things that really came clear in this last election. Even as, yes, there were all sorts of challenges we faced. People were still struggling with COVID. People were sick and tired of having to deal with COVID and deal with so many things. And there was a lot of frustration out there. But at the same time, what we saw very, very clearly was people have a big appetite for bold ideas about a better future for this country. And it wasn't just in the federal election where we saw the response to childcare, $10 a day childcare right across the country, something that was picked up on just about every door as people were like, yes, we're actually going to do it. C'était pas juste le fait qu'on a livré, qu'on est en train de livrer un plan ambitieux pour lutter contre la crise du logement, pour s'assurer que les familles puissent trouver des logements abordables, puissent créer un avenir pour leurs enfants. Mais ça, c'est important. C'est aussi important que nous, on avait la vision la plus ambitieuse pour lutter contre les changements climatiques de n'importe quel parti. Et c'est ce qu'on a vu à la COP26. When I was at COP last week in Glasgow, we saw how much there is a need for countries willing to push even harder, even faster on the fight against climate change. And whether it's with the cap and reduction of emissions from the oil sands and oil and gas industry, whether it's being really strong on methane emissions, whether it's moving forward with an aggressive mandate on zero-emission vehicles and transforming our energy grid so that it's net zero by 2035. These are things that Canada is laying out there. This is what we're doing, and on top of that, we're one of the strongest voices out there calling for the world to move forward with a price on pollution, and the world is noticing. Mais ces priorités qu'on est en train d'entendre, on ne les a pas seulement entendues dans les élections fédérales, on les a aussi vues dans les élections municipales qui viennent de se passer. In the most typically conservative part of the country, in Alberta, we just saw two of the most progressive mayors ever, including our old friend Amarjeet, get elected. With strong, clear mandates, not just to fight climate change, but also to be there to support families and people and workers every step of the way. And in the Quebec elections that we're still digesting the results of that just came in last night, the same. The big cities we saw progressive voices get elected, but also in small towns and communities right across Quebec, à travers le Québec, on a vu beaucoup de jeunes maires progressistes, des gens qui sont là pour livrer le changement concret, parler de petite enfance, parler de la crise du logement, parler de la lutte contre les changements climatiques et surtout d'agir. On est dans un moment où les Canadiens s'attendent de nous tous qu'on agisse pour livrer des résultats concrets pour eux et c'est exactement ce que cette équipe va faire. Il ne manque pas de grands enjeux sur lesquels nous devons travailler, que ce soit sur la scène internationale ou ici chez nous. Parce que la cause de la réconciliation continue d'être au cœur de tout ce qu'on doit faire. Nos relations avec les peuples autochtones, le travail que nous allons faire concrètement pour livrer, oui, des améliorations concrètes dans les situations auxquelles ils font face à travers le pays, mais aussi démontrer qu'on est prêt à transformer la façon de faire de notre pays pour lutter contre le racisme, contre la discrimination systémique, contre les intolérances, contre cette polarisation qu'on continue à voir augmenter à travers le pays, qu'on a senti aux portes dans cette campagne électorale. Canadians are worried because they have seen levels of division and anger out there that manifested themselves during our election, but also are creeping into our discourse in all sorts of different ways. And the best antidote to that is actually delivering for them on the big things that matter for their lives, that matter for their communities, that matter for the futures of their kids' futures. And that's what we need to stay focused on. Keeping Canadians safe, building a better future for them, and that's what I know we're all excited to do. But of course, in order to do that, in order to get this country moving forward as strongly as we can as we come through these last 18 months, we need to finish with this pandemic once and for all. And even as Canadians are moving forward, even as Canadians are continuing to get vaccinated at record rates, the Conservatives are actually moving backwards. More and more Conservatives are now stepping up to stand against vaccination, to stand against science, to stand against being there for each other. And to my mind, I mean, I look at this crew here. I look at all of you, dedicated to your communities, dedicated to serving, dedicated to keeping people safe. I can't imagine any of you putting up your hand and saying, well, I deserve special treatment because I'm an MP. I deserve not to need to get vaccinated because I'm an MP and you should be making exceptions for us. I can't imagine any of you ever even occurring to you to say that, but that's exactly what Conservatives are saying. They're saying they should get special treatment because they're MPs, that they don't need to be protecting the people in their workplaces alongside them. They don't need to be setting an example for all Canadians who really should be leaning on vaccinations. That's the furthest thing from who you are, who we are as Liberals that you could possibly imagine. And unfortunately, we're still going to have to do that fight. We're still going to have to stand up and point out that MPs are people there to serve and protect and care for their fellow citizens. And on the contrary, rather than getting special treatment to be exempted from what people deserve to get, They should be stepping up and showing an example and showing that level of responsibility and commitment to Canadians, including the majority of Canadians in all of their provinces who chose to get vaccinated and do the right thing. Mes amis, on est de retour au travail maintenant pour continuer de livrer concrètement pour les Canadiens. Mais ce qu'on a pu faire pendant les derniers mois, ce qu'on a pu faire en connectant avec les Canadiens, en présentant le plan le plus ambitieux, le plan le plus progressiste que ce pays ait jamais vu, nous a préparés pour ce moment. Ce moment d'aller à cette Chambre des communes pour dire voici ce que les Canadiens ont très clairement dit, pas juste à nous, mais à tous les partis qu'ils voulaient. Et nous allons livrer. Nous allons le faire ensemble. Nous allons être là pour travailler avec quiconque le veut pour livrer concrètement les meilleures choses dans la vie des Canadiens, pour en finir avec la COVID, pour lutter contre les changements climatiques, pour assurer qu'avec les garderies, avec la crise du logement, avec tous les autres défis auxquels les Canadiens vont être là, que nous sommes là pour se concentrer sur eux. Our job is to stay focused on Canadians. Our job is to deliver for people in a time of uncertainty and fatigue. Our job is to be our very best as we step up in all the ways I know we can to deliver the kind of present and future I know Canadians need. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. J'ai bien hâte de se mettre au travail. Now let's get to it.